Hello.
Hey, Dan.
Hey,
Couple people here early.
One of my other meetings just got canceled, so I figured come visit you.
Hop on over.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hey.
You all know where the agenda doc is, but I just dropped it in the chat for convenience. Sign in. Good morning. How's everyone today?
Morning.
Oh, I am not awake. I just want to make that clear for the record. Don't expect much from me.
You still haven't had your coffee I'd read to you yet?
It's I just poured it. It is a little bit too close to scalding for me to start.
Throw an ice cube in it.
No, I don't want to dilute the caffeine goodness. Kara, I had a wonderful dream about London last night. I got lost in the tube, but ended up being in the Tower of London with a raven on my shoulder and was being grilled about history. And every time I failed to answer a question correctly, the raven pooped on me. And then I woke up and I have no idea what that was all about.
Were you watching Game of Thrones again?
No, you know what? I couldn't watch Game of Thrones. I
Or
watched
the regulars?
Yeah. What's the other one? The Vikings have a bunch of ravens in it, but nothing with the
Yeah.
London of England.
Yeah, I was like,
You know-
have you been watching the irregulars? They have a whole episode on black ravens, and then they go and kill people and poke their eyes out. It's really cool.
Yeah, you know, the Norse, their whole thing.
Well-
You know, I watched the first episode of Game of Thrones and I was like, okay, let's see. We've got murder, incest, throwing kids out of a window. Okay, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, just watch the news.
Exactly, right? If I wanted heavy, I'd watch the news. I like lighthearted. My favorite English. So I grew up reading English literature, you know, and I have every Terry Pratchett book ever written. That's more my thing.
Nice. Well, if you're in London, we'll go out and it'll be better than that.
I
You
can't
won't
wait to get
lost
back.
in the tube.
We will avoid the tube.
I have been lost in the tube. It's true. But you know what's cool about getting lost in the tube is wherever you come up, it's like, you're still in London. This is cool. Did we get Dan? Do we have a Dan?
yep.
We had a Dan.
Oh, there's a Dan. Sorry, Dan.
No worries. finally have some quorum now. It looks like we'll join in the last minute or two so we can get started. I dropped the agenda doc in again because I think Zoom doesn't share it with people that joined later. And now I will screen share. All right, I should be able to see it. We have a relatively short agenda today. Charter changes, election results, and other upcoming elections. GSAC updates, I know you've been doing much work there, Tara, and then some landscape discussions. Add anything else you want?
I
that's
was
not in
actually
here?
I was just about to add a landscape comment, so thank you for having it on the agenda.
Awesome. Anything else people want to cover?
I do.
Did I miss anything, Tracy? Oh, go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, so I can give a CDCon update, and then also DevOps World CFP is open and we have a track.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I just saw your email there. Let me drop that in. Do you have the link handy so I don't have to go searching while I'm talking?
Let me drop it in for you, one sec.
Right, we can jump in then with the recent charter changes and the election results. Do you want to start this off, Tracy, and then I can chat through in more detail?
Yeah, everybody. Okay, so let me drop a link in. So recently, we had some changes to the charter of the CDF, which were voted on by the governing board. And just for awareness, any changes to the charter have to be voted on by and achieve a supermajority. So put the link in there, and Dan, I don't know if you want to click through to the relevant section, section 7.
Sure, clicking. Oh wait, sorry, I don't see.
In the chat.
Oh,
Sorry,
the chat, sorry. Now I have to switch tabs.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forget sharing screen.
All right, section 7. Here we go.
So specifically section B, those are where the changes are, and this is kind of based on a proposal Dan put forward to the board, and after discussion, that's what was agreed on. So Dan, do you want to talk through the thinking a bit more, and then I can chat about timelines?
Yeah, so we discussed it, I think, in the last, some of the last 2 meetings, but now the board is actually, this is finalized now, right?
Yes.
The board did vote. Yeah, okay, I thought so. Yeah, the board did vote in the last meeting to accept this. So now the remaining details to figure out are around how to transition and the timing. But the high level changes are that we're staying at 9 members. We were supposed to be at 9 before, but I don't think we ever actually filled all 9 seats. I'd have to check. Yeah, we're staying at 9 members. And instead of it being 1 seat per project chosen by the project representatives, we're switching to be a fixed number of seats across all projects. This was done for a couple of reasons, but the most imminent one that kind of prompted the staff to take action now is because there were only 6 seats for projects set aside before out of the 9, and we reached 6 projects. So we needed to figure out what to do for any future projects. So yeah, the representatives are the intent is that they would represent all projects, not just the one that they were elected from, but they're supposed to be nominated on and voted upon by one big pool of contributors to all of the projects. Each project gets to nominate 1 representative for those seats, and then the elections take place kind of across them all. So that's 4. 2 members are from the end users. So those are end user. They're elected by end user companies that are members of the CDF, but the nominations, the nominees can be from any company, whether or not they're an end user. They're just supposed to represent the end user members. And then finally, the last 3 are elected by the governing board directly. Nominees don't have to be members of the governing board, but the governing board, the full governing board would vote to elect these 3. 2-year terms again, but we have to figure out how to transition into a steady state staggered setup so we don't replace everybody constantly. The rest is, yeah, go ahead.
The representative elected by the governing board or an user member is also a contributor to the project. Does this project also they seat from the first point?
Sorry, you were kind of quiet there. Your microphone. That was the
Okay.
question. If
Sorry.
somebody is elected from an end user seat, but they're also a contributor to a project.
Yes. Or is it independent?
Yeah, they're independent.
Okay.
You know, a lot of companies are in the end user, are not in the end user tier that are end users. A lot of projects are contributors, or have contributors from both. They're independent. It's really about what hat you're supposed to have on in the meetings, and then who elects you.
Okay.
Any other questions on this, or do we have a more firm idea of timeline for the transition, Tracy? Or we just welcome some new members to the talk now, so it's kind of a staged phased thing.
Yes. Yeah. No. First priority. We've had the end user representative seats. Well, certainly one seat for a while, and that's something we never really set in place. So the first step was getting in one representative on that. So and super happy to welcome Fatih to that seat as part of the talk. So the next part, we're trying to work out how to just execute on that specifically, point one. And what we need to figure out as a foundation is just reaching out to each of the projects and understanding who their official technical steering or governing board is, so that we can work out who's eligible to vote in that election. And I think for some projects, it's pretty straightforward. But for others, we might need to work with them as they're kind of evolving their governance. For the first one, in terms of nominations, yeah, once we've got that, we'll be looking to then kick off a process so we can go ahead and elect those 4 representatives, and then also figure out how to kind of stagger the terms so that we're not kind of changing the whole talk at the same time. So we want to keep some continuity. So we don't have a timeline yet, but I would suggest that in all likelihood, we will want to have the elections soon after CDCon. So expect we'll be kind of in the run up to CDCon, things will get super busy, but if we can get a process and open nominations ahead of time, then we're hoping soon after CDCon we can go ahead with those elections and welcome new members to the TOC.
Any questions on that? Wait, I just realized I have to switch back. Let me try to change directly. Cool. All right, back to the agenda, Doc.
Well, I have a question about the mainly the TOC meetings, like, you know, the quorum requirements. Like, I don't remember if I've seen such requirements documented in the governance or charter. So I suppose the TOC needs simple majority to be able to take decisions, or is there a, you know, point in the charter for that?
I think there's
so.
something in the charter. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah.
You probably read it more closely.
Not on the chart. I was going to say we do specify the numbers for specific votes to do with the project lifecycle process, like how many votes we need to approve projects. But yeah, I'm not sure about if there's anything else you had in mind.
This is Gail. So I need so I need to double check our charter specifically, but for the most part, generally the LF charters have quorum is usually over half, as long as you have over 50% of the voting members participating in the vote, and that's what quorum is generally, over 50% of the voting members. And then from within that pool, you can take a vote. We generally try to shoot for lazy consensus, which is kind of just like if there's disagreement and we need a formal vote, that's when we start going into that. But I'll check our charter to confirm. For the charter changes, that being a supermajority, that means you need to have 100% participation. Well, 2/3 have to vote in the affirmative of the governing board to make a charter change. So I believe there are 12 or 14 voting members we have for the governing board. And so we had to have 8 votes in the affirmative.
The reason why I'm asking this, because like in some of the other committees I was part of, like when the meetings, generally this is valid for meetings, when the vote happens on mail list, it happens anyways, like all the time. But during meetings, if there is a need to take a decision, for example, not reaching quorum sometimes cause problems for those committees. And like those committees, they had proxy mechanism in place. So if a TOC member or TFC member is unable to make it to meeting, they could assign proxies for a specific meeting or for time period. So,
I mean, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think any important decision that the TOC does, we always do it via email. We don't do it in a meeting.
Yeah.
So that way we have the actual counts and we don't have to worry about participation. That said, it'd be nice to have more consistent participation by voting members in the meetings. So I think there's two issues there.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's a good point.
Yeah, that's basically my understanding. I don't think we've ever done a vote during a meeting. And yeah,
Certainly not a vote of substance.
Right. Yeah, the mailing list stuff is where the votes tend to happen, but yeah, there are quorum and attendance issues that we've been dealing with in the TOC meetings forever. So the mailing lists are kind of a crutch, and also at the same time, the only way we've been able to get votes in quorum.
Okay.
Any other questions there? All right. GSOC time then. Tara?
So first of all, shout out to Oleg, who's done some good Slack wrangling. Thank you. I actually was going to log on this morning to have a look at the project. I haven't had a chance to do that yet. My coffee maker was fighting with me this morning, and you know how I am about my coffee. So I was going to log on and have a look. Oleg, I think you had a look. Looked like we had a handful of things that weren't Jenkins and then a whole pile that was. But overall, I think there was a total greater than we had last year from the non-Jenkins projects, which is a good sign. So,
so I can provide statistics for Jenkins project. So we have around 20 applications in the pipeline. Some have been already submitted, some are in drafts. Well, it's slightly lower than in previous years, but it's still quite a good number, and we are confident that we would be able to have several good projects from what we see. For other CDF projects, there is also quite good traction. There are some final proposals submitted for Spinnaker, for Screwdriver, and for Tibios. We confirmed separately with the technical team that they don't expect applications this year, but at least we have a project ID in Jenkins, which is basically Jenkins and technical integration. So hopefully it happens. Keep your fingers crossed, because yeah, it also depends on the applications on our side.
And one of the things I wanted to call is we got a handful, looks like at least 2 for Ortelius. So for our newest project, which is kind of exciting to see. So yeah, I call 19 total.
Yeah.
Wow, that's big.
Well, most likely the number will change. Usually it doubles within the last 2 hours before the deadline. But yeah, that's how it always works.
You said it doubles, so it's going to go up to 38.
Yeah, they have until the end of the day.
Wow, that's a big change.
Yeah, well, that's a number, but historically, the most of the students who got selected reach out to the communities earlier. So, yeah.
Okay. And then one quick shout out. I think I saw Jithan. If you want to go give Pridam a swift kick, and Steve Taylor, if you're on the call, go. I need both of you to go accept your mentor invites in the system. You still show as pending.
Yeah, he's back from vacation. I will walk him today.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay. Yeah, and Steve, if you lost it or it didn't show up, let me know. I can cancel it and resend it so to get a fresh email.
Okay.
And I've dropped in also the YouTube promo and a Twitter link, so you can promote and encourage students to submit or select the CDF as an organization.
I'll throw that in the meeting notes for you, Dan.
Awesome.
Oh, Tracy, you're already in there. Sorry, didn't mean to.
The
Fight,
promo
fight.
video is very nice. I'm a huge fan.
Awesome. All right, landscape. Should I click on this link and switch tabs over to it? Or I
What
guess
bug is
try
this?
that. This is the cross-linking. Steve is here.
I can speak to this a little.
Sure.
Yeah, so at the governing board, one of the goals set out there was to foster a closer relationship with the CNCF and other open source foundations, but starting with the CNCF. So one of those initiatives being driven by Steve Chin, who's from JFrog and also our governing board chair, is kind of a collaboration with the two landscapes. So it's exploring some options with the CNCF team, and initially we're going to cross-link the landscape so that the CD1 is linked off the CNCF one, and then the CNCF one is linked from the CDF one. And then eventually we'll explore some more options, like if we can replace the CI/CD section of the CNCF landscape, and so that kind of falls out to the CDF landscape. But we'll kind of continuously improve that. But if you take a look at that PR, that's the progress to date. So I think there's a preview of the CNCF landscape embedded in the CDF one. But if the folks have any thoughts about how this could or should evolve, yeah, do let us know, as we're trying to kind of just generally improve this and improve the interactions.
So, okay, so that actually answers my question potentially, because I started to dig into some stuff. As we know, I had a backlog agenda item around this. Node is not my language, and I immediately ran into out-of-date documentation and node dependency errors trying to set up the test environment. There was also cross-link documentation back to the CNCF docs. Those were also out of date. There's broken links everywhere. And so if Steve is a good contact, I can work with him and we can try and clean some of that stuff up. And I guess I should learn Node, because not knowing it turned out to be a problem.
Yeah, not necessarily Steve, but the folks in that thread, Jordan, there's a Slack channel with the maintainers of the landscapes. Let me pull you into that group if you're.
I was going to say, is that on a CNCF Slack or the CDF Slack?
Yeah, a CNCF Slack. So I have to go hunt
if you
it
could
down.
give me an invite into that, that would be great.
I will go find it and invite you.
All right, should I go back to the main agenda now?
Yep. So sorry I don't have good news, but I at least did look at it. That's my one positive update.
All right, last one, DevOps World CFP. I just saw this email go out a little bit before the meeting.
Yeah.
This is later this year.
Yeah, so this is, sorry about that. Yeah, so DevOps World is happening in September, later part of September, I believe it's the 27th through the 30th, something like that. But again, this year, what the CDF is doing is we are going to be a sponsor, and part of that sponsorship includes a track. So similar to last year, except I'm not going to be collecting the talks this year. We've included it as part of the CFP of DevOps World. So we are now just letting folks know, if you've got talks that you want to submit under the CDF track, you'll need to submit your paper through the DevOps World CFP portal. The link is that third bullet there. So start letting your communities know. We'd love to see all the projects there represented. You know, we have different types of talks also that we encourage folks to submit, not just around the projects. So that's the biggest update there. The other thing with CDF, I wanted to let you guys know that the program got published last week. So if you haven't had a chance to review the CDCOM program, GitOps and Spinnaker, everything's out now. We're doing really great on registration. Last week, because of the program announcement and some other outreach activities, we were able to cross the 50% line. So as of today, we have 1,830 folks registered out of the 3,000 registration goal. For the Jenkins Contributor Summit, that's also something that we've been working on and got added recently. So that is also part of the registration process. So if you want to participate in that, you're able to go back into your registration form and just add that. We have 136 folks registered for that. And then for GitOps Summit, we have 686. And for Spinnaker Summit, we have 478. And then we've also have $266,000 either out for signature or already signed. So doing really healthy for CDCON this year above all. That's it.
Jackie, remind me when we need to have stuff ready for as far as like keynotes.
Yeah, so Tracy just sent a note this morning to you, and she had a few things that she needed from you. But yeah, Jennifer Crawley is usually the one that will help all of the speakers and keynote folks, and she'll keep you on track. She's the program manager for that.
All right, I will go check that out. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So yeah, I think we need time zone so that we can figure out recordings, title, bio, headshots. I don't see I know that slides are due. Sorry, let me pull that up right now. Don't have that memorized. Let's see. So yeah, so it looks like materials are due May 21st for all speakers.
Okay. Awesome.
Jackie, did we have the info on like Birds of a Feather session?
What do you mean?
That we were sending out a form for SIGs and projects if they want to have a.
I need to follow up with Roxanne because she was the one that had created that, and I don't know when she's planning on sending that out. But yeah, let me ping her.
Okay. Yeah,
as soon as we have gone out. I believe I've received one a few days ago.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, in that case, just so folks are aware, and in case you haven't received anything, Roxanne is reaching out with a form to all our CDF projects and special interest groups. And if folks want to schedule a Birds of a Feather session at CDCon, we want to know your preference and who can be moderators or points of contact for those sessions so we can get those scheduled.
Yeah, I'll ping her again and I'll drop the form in the notes.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Any other topics for today? All right, then. See everybody in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Dan.